Huh, okay. Try to figure this out. Yeah, things good. Okay. Sure, there's a perfectly rational explanation for all of this. But I stop talking. I do have a picture of what I look like if I got bitten by a vampire. I look very thin now. Lighthouse is totally destroying Twilight. Cause this pretty fun. Mr. Franklin explained that we were going to dissect a frog in class today. He gave each group a specimen taken from a cold anesthetic smelling plastic bag. A frog lay in the metal tray on our table, lifeless. It made me shudder to think of all the harmless flies it had probably eaten. So, should we start? Edward asked. Yeah, I said quickly. I picked up the knife and stuck it into our frog. Wait, Edward declared. You have to read the procedure first. It's so easy, I said, slicing the frog down its middle. I've done this lab before. At a pond. At a pond. When I was a little girl. Oh, okay. Mr. Franklin came over to our table. Careful, Elbel. You want to be able to examine the inside. I know, I acknowledged. I was in the advanced class in my old school. Mr. Franklin, I see, he postulated. Why don't you let Edward handle the rest of this dissection? I shrugged. It didn't matter to me if Mr. Franklin thought the lab was too easy for me. He was right. Okay. I leaned back in my chair, bored already. Edward carefully stripped away layers of the frog skin and made notes in his diagram. I leaned forward, suddenly mesmerized by his handwriting. For a second, I thought that maybe I was looking at the handwriting of an angel. Then I remembered angels don't have hands. It must be something else. Something else supernatural. So are you going to write any of this down in your lab report? Edward asked. He held up a sheet for me to copy. Just because he did all the observing, he knew more about frog organs than I did. I already finished it, I told him. Held up my sheet. I drawn much more advanced pictures depicting what it would look like if you removed a human's organs and replaced them with those of a frog. Below the diagrams, I listed a few organizations that take organ donations in case Mr. Franklin wanted to do the charitable thing and donate all Lee's frog organs to people who needed them. This is a weird chapter. Weird chapter. It's gonna get weirder. Okay. Edward looked at my picture and frowned, suddenly ashamed of his own report in comparison. About to turn our lives in individually, he said, Nellie, I deserved all the credit. As he spoke, his eyes lit up a brilliant green. Were your eyes green yesterday? I asked quickly. He looked at me with a blank stare, the blank stare of a god. The kind of god in a commercial for a hubcap repair shop. Well, yeah, I mean, I have green eyes, he said. The bell rang and I started in my seat. I lost track of time, staring into Edward's odd green eyes. He hurriedly left the classroom, exhaled and inhaled deeply, trying to breathe in the scent. But all I could smell was lab frog. I stood up, knocking over several other students. I checked my email after school, and I already had 44 emails from my mom. I clicked one at random. Bill, answer this email right now or I'm calling the police. Too late. I just called the police. They're asking me if it's an emergency, and I'm saying yes. I'm saying you've been ignoring your mother. I'm saying you've been held hostage in the dock. That should do it, love. This is a weird book. This is a weird book, okay. Yeah, it's weird. Trying to make it a little more fun for me to read. Didn't work. Didn't work. Got bored of it in like 2 seconds. Um, quickly wrote her back, trying to sound as cheerful as possible, but it's hard to conceal my depression from her. Your depression from okay. She knew me too much. She knew that while I wrote that, I had met a nice girl to be friends with. It meant that most of the people at school were boring. She knew that when I said Dad and I were getting along fine, and he had even bought me his car, it meant that a demonic boy at school was being mean to me. Thank God we came up with a secret code when I was little to confuse cyberstalkers. I wanted to tell her that Switchblade wasn't so bad. If only something dangerous would happen. Or not necessarily something dangerous, but someone dangerous. Then maybe my mom wouldn't have to be so concerned for my well-being. I whipped up a few racks of lamb for dinner. Bill, you really didn't have. My dad began as he sat down at the table. No, Dad, I said. I used to cook all the time in Phoenix. Really, it's fine. I wish you let me cook every once in a while, he said. It's just, I love your cooking. But I told you I was a vegetarian. And like a dad, I was concernedly worried that I hadn't cut the meat into small enough pieces or fun enough shapes. No, it's great, Bill. I know it's been hard for you here. It's great. The smile as he took another bite. These dads are trusting me a little more in the kitchen. By the next morning, the rain had turned to snow. I wasn't too thrilled. I liked being able to travel to and from class via puddle, jumping from one to the next and rating the puddle on the Bell Goose scale. A scale from 1 to 5, where 1 represents dry land and 5 represents a tsunami. Jim had already left by the time I got up. I spent a half hour worrying that he hadn't found the bread I left for him in the cabinet or the milk I left in the milk carton. Then I put on my puffiest snow cape and hurried outside. My U-Haul was snowed in, but fortunately I have arms. Awesome for picking up huge amounts of snow and putting it elsewhere. The only trouble was I didn't have any place to put the snow besides my front yard, so I put the piles in the back of my U-Haul. What? Huh? Then I realized that this was a great opportunity to make a giant slushie. I ran back inside with the sugar and red food coloring. Sprinkled both onto the snow. As I started the truck, I found out what I named my cooking show. The first thing that came to my mind was Goose Cooks Geese. The second thing that came to my mind was perfect. I kept hitting the brakes as I drove to avoid skidding on ice and to create a rocking sensation in my U-Haul that would mix all the ingredients in the back in one delicious slushie. I realized I simulated ice cream truck music by humming. Okay, when it snows, the rules of parking no longer apply, so I stopped in the street and began to walk towards the school side entrance. That's where it happened. It wasn't in slow motion like an old person walking, but it also wasn't in fast motion like an old person running. It was like when you sip an energy drink with a skull on it, even though your mom said not to, your brain kind of speeds up as you sip, then goes slower as you swallow, and then speeds up and goes slower until you throw up. And then you drink another one on a dare. It was careening towards me across the sky in a perfect arc, careening so quickly I knew I wouldn't be able to get out of the way. I never imagined how it would die, but I kind of hoped it would be a war. I never thought it would be like this, by snowball. And then suddenly, Edward was in front of me, his dark curly yet disheveled tresses blocking my view as I heard a giant squish. I couldn't believe it. It wasn't even possible. Edward had saved me. How did you? How? I asked, looking from my perfectly pristine snow cape to his jacket soiled with snow. But Edward wasn't listening. A wide, almost otherworldly grin was spreading across his face. Prepare for doom, Nemesis, he hollered, gathering up some snow and hurtling it towards the school. I couldn't believe it. Now Edward was defending me. Edward, Edward, I screamed, relinquishing any attempt at self-control. I rushed towards him as he swiftly bent down to pick up more snow. Pinning his arms to his back, I stopped him from exciting the snowball hurler any further. You saved my life, I cried. Isn't that enough? Stop this endless cycle of vengeance. I perched on his back to stop him from the demonic violence he was capable of just as two snowballs hit him in the face. He said, freeing his arms and brushing the snow from his eyes. Hey, get off me, you girl. You're going to make me smell like girlfriends. I let go, mesmerized. Snow was dripping off his coat, almost as if it didn't stick to him. How are you doing that? I asked successfully, concealing my absolute terror of his superhuman force. Edward has a girlfriend. Edward has a girlfriend, someone shouted. I do not. She is not. I do not know her, he yelled, protecting our blossoming mutual intrigue from petty rumors before turning back. What? How am I doing what? The snow, it's melting off you. Took a step closer and felt further nearly touching. You're not human, are you? I whispered intimately. He laughed a little, nervously. Is this about biology class, he asked, because I only knew all that stuff about frogs because once had a frog. It's not like I go on internet sites to practice dissection or anything like that, like nerds do. I don't even study for class, or get good grades. I hate school things. I mean, it's like, why don't we all just skip class and, like, hang, you know? I was suddenly blushing. His shoes, covered in dirty snow, were too beautiful to be real. I bent down to investigate, poking them with my finger. He pulled his foot away quickly and nearly fell over. Miraculously, he regained balance by simply putting his foot down. Hey, stop, he cried. Do you like games and stuff? Like video games, computer games, board games, potato chips? His attempts to evade my question only infuriated me more. I stood up. I know what I saw. Someday you will trust me enough to tell me the truth. The truth about what? I'll tell you now. About bullfrogs? He laughed. That's easy. The truth is they absorb air through their skin. I looked over my shoulder to protect him from any listeners. Then he whispered, "There was definitely a few pricked ears 30 feet away." "True about your abilities," I said, raising my eyebrows. "I could only raise one like they do in detective movies. But as soon as I raised the other the other sounded up as well. All I know is no average human would be able to jump from the sidewalk to the gutter as fast as he did." "Listen," he whispered ferociously like a ferocious breeze or a very gentle hurricane. "I am an average student like everybody else. I do normal things on the weekend. Every day after school I go back to my house and chill and hang until bedtime, which is whenever I want it to be, because my parents are too negligent with me to set a curfew. Understand?" He gripped my shoulders tightly. I knew if I didn't concede, he'd easily crush me. "Yes, I understand. But this isn't the last you'll hear from me," I muttered. That seemed to appease him. He released my shoulders and ran away, flailing his limbs in that graceful way he had. I fumed all the way to class. How did he know we were in bio together? How did he know to walk in front of me at the exact moment a snowball was coming? Why did the snowballs melt off and know they were made of some watery substance? Most of all, why was he lying to me about his true superhuman identity? I was so upset I accidentally started a fire in math, sending one boy to the nurse's office. Guess I'd been rubbing the sticks I carried with me together so hard that, whoops, I started kindling a flame. Gee, Edward was really taking over my brain. Couldn't concentrate on anything, not even taking the Riemann sum of the approximate distances traveled in each integral of the problem I was working on. Boy, was I all out of sorts. Math stuff I don't understand. Wow. This whole book is full of that. Okay. Night I had my first drink by Edward Mullen. Carnival music was playing and I was sitting in a colorful tent, surrounded by animals. We were all eating popcorn together and joking around. Suddenly the tent went dark and Edward entered the stage alone. He was wearing stilts and saying, "Whoa, whoa," as he walked in a wobbly way. I woke up in a cold sweat, terrified. Oh, like a 10-page chapter. Okay. 3. Hand prick. The month following the snowball accident was tough. People kept looking at me, especially when teachers read my name on the attendance list and I said, "Here." Somehow my new nickname for Edward, Hero, didn't catch on. So I decided to break my unwritten, unspoken, and unthought understanding of Edward and start telling our story. First I told Tom and Lucy that Edward saved me from a snowball. They weren't impressed, so I started saying Edward saved me from a rock with snow around it, and later I started saying he saved me from an avalanche. One day I said that Edward ran with superhuman speed, stopping a car that was about to hit me with superhuman strength. "Wait," said the freshman girl in the cafeteria lunch line. "Edward Mullen? You mean the kid whose clothes are too small?" We looked over at Edward, who was sitting alone doing homework due next month. "Yes," I said gravely, taking a large bite of my pudding to prevent me from saying anything else. "You must be new here," the girl said, picking up her tray. "Month bleh," I said, spitting little flecks of chocolate pudding after her. She didn't answer. I knew no one would understand me in Switchblade. Still, Edward was cold towards me. I knew that he wished it had never happened, that he had never saved me, that I had never started wearing a shirt that said, "Thank you, Edward." What happened in biology over a month after the accident, I couldn't take it much longer. Edward looked so cute with his red curly hair and freckles like that before picture in an ad for freckle concealer for men. Yet he was so complacent, as if he didn't need me and my alluring ear shape to pass on to his offspring. I had to do something. I poked the boy in front of me, turned around, looking surprised. "Hey, it's Peter," I asked. "Yeah," he answered, seduced. "Want to go to prom with me?" I asked, plenty loud for Edward could hear. Sure," he said. "Be okay if we hung out over a couple of times before then? I don't really know you." Did Edward notice? Was he jealous? I slowly looked at his mood ring to find out. Still purplish brown. Clear I was going to have to do more. One date to prom wasn't enough. I turned to the boy sitting behind me on the right. "Zach," I said. "What is it?" he asked, looking at the board to take notes. "We go to prom with me, but didn't you just ask Peter?" "Yeah," I said. "I want to go with you too." He said, "Well, I don't have a date. It's okay, I guess." "Hey, Adam," I called across the room. "Belle, please, I'm trying to teach," said Mr. Franklin. When I called out Adam, he must have understood that this was an important interruption for love, because he just sighed and continued diagramming the cell. "I already have a date, Belle," Adam whispered loudly. "Tom," I shouted. "Belle!" Mr. Franklin yelled. I saw down on my chest, satisfied. Edward was looking. This book's about. Okay. The rain was so bad by the time school got out. I had to float my U-Haul back home. I stood on the top of the truck and guided it with a long pole, pretending I was in New Orleans, about to save Edward from the flood. So, Belle, my dad said that evening at dinner, any boys at school catch your eye. How about Tom Newt? He seems nice. Yeah, he seems nice. Yeah, I guess, I said, imagining what Tom would look like as Edward. He would look hot. Are you going to eat your spinach? You want it, honey? No, you should eat it, I said, and mine too. It's good for your health. Come on, Dad, open up. I put as much spinach as I could on my fork and moved it towards his mouth. Some spinach fell onto his place, sunk onto his lap. The train's coming. Cugga cugga coo coo, I chanted. Bell, that's not the noise a train makes, he said. They go chugga chugga with a ch. Maybe in Switchblade, I said skeptically. This place certainly was backwards. Ah, Bill is so dumb. Ah, I can't deal. Oh, okay. I wanted to look especially good in bio the next day because I was sure that it was the day Edward was asked if he could be in my third date to prom. That night I wrapped my hair in springs from the armchair in our living room to make it curly. I even put in false teeth. Way to school. The next morning I felt light and bouncy, but that could be because I left in some springs. I went to the bio class from fourth period to be sure I was on time for sixth. It was dark and Mr. Franklin was storing beakers in the closet. He let me eat my lunch there as long as I covered my desk in aluminum foil for cleanliness. The bell rang. I sat up super straight in my chair and smiled with my big straight teeth. Students began to come through the door. Tom, Adam, Lucy, followed by more students. No, Edward. Stopped smiling and removed the teeth. Just when I thought Edward was a normal, jealous boy, did something unpredictable, like not show up to class with roses. Okay, guys, Mr. Luckner began. My nephew needs a blood transfusion, so I want to know all your blood types. He sounded proud of this idea. He put on a pair of rubber gloves, which made an ominous slap to hit his skin. Percentage. Slap, slap, slap. Okay, I'll stop, she said. That's such a cool sound. Still no Edward. Well, that's due to be absent from bio. Even in English. I knew this because I delivered a note to him from the principal's office when I was in class. He said, Hey, QT, I really wish you were principal of the school. I were principal of the school. Give him so much attention. He deserves it. For cutting classes instead of asking me out. Oh, cringy dialogue. This is a little parody. Mr. Franklin was detailing the procedure. I'll be coming around for medical consent forms, so don't start until I get to you. Those of you who aren't AB can sit in the back and chat. A few kids cheered, but, he continued, not until I know everyone's blood type. And I want you to carefully prick your finger with one of these knives from my kitchen. Grabbed Adam's hand and cut off a bit of his pointer finger. Blood spurted out and landed on Mr. Franklin's lab cat in the back of a nearby girl's blouse. As I watched the dripping arc of crimson, I suddenly felt nauseous. Where was he? Why wouldn't he come to class on a day where we were doing such a fun lab? Suddenly there he was, Edward, standing there with a short buzz cut, masculine jaw, rough with light hair. There was something red stuck in his teeth. With a rush of nausea, I suddenly understood what he was. Dentist patient. I realized the whole class was silent, staring at me. Guess I must have said that out loud. Oops. Then I thought, no, that can't be right. Edward has naturally perfect teeth. I got out of my seat quickly, so I might lightly slap Edward in the face with hair. I approached the materials table where he was standing, shoving a packet of Twizzlers into his backpack. I stuck my head. Next thing you know, I was looking up at Mr. Franklin and Lucy's face. Hey guys, I said. Bill, you fell. No, I didn't. Yes, Bill, you tripped on the leg of your chair. I think you were unconscious for a couple of seconds, Mr. Franklin explained. Nope, I said. He stood up and rubbed his temple like he was drawing circles there. Dear God, why today? Edward, since you've already done this lab with me during your free track, please take Bill to the nurse. Sorry I was late, Mr. Franklin, but the Fed Challenge team needed a replacement and just go, Mr. Franklin said. And Bill, don't mention anything about what we're doing in class today. Looked right into Mr. Franklin's eyes. He must be some kind of mad scientist, conducting secret experiments. If things didn't work out with Edward, I could always be his Igor, digging up bones and teaching him English for a chump change. Right, I said. Look at Mr. Franklin with one eye and then offered to show I really got it. I don't need your help walking, I insisted angrily as I slithered out of the classroom on my belly. Edward, can you carry her? Mr. Franklin asked. You heard her. She wants the big guy to do it, he said, crossing his arms and hunching his back so he could climb on him more easily. He stepped in his, took his hair in my hands like reins and gave a gentle kick to get him going. There, then he fainted. Edward, I said, poking his crumpled form beneath me. Are you okay? I think I better carry you to the nurses. No, I can do this. Leaving to his feet. He skipped my entire 8 pounds, 4 ounces. To be honest, I hadn't weighed myself in a few years. And we walked slowly out of the classroom. Come on, Edward, half step at a time, he muttered quietly, not wanting to disturb my faint slumber. Okay, now half step 2 times. I raised my head on his firm, sweaty shoulder. I felt something stroking my hair. Then I felt Edward put some of my hair up to his nose, leaving it draped above sleep. He looked good with a long, full mustache. Suddenly, he released my hair, took some Purell from his pocket, and friendly rubbed it on his mouth. So, Bill, do you have any pets? No, he said sadly, remembering Jared the iguana. Eventually, I had to return to where I found him, Mr. Rich's third grade class. My mom won't let me have pets, Edward said. It's not because she thinks I'm not responsible or anything. She just thinks I'm too nervous to care for them, and she's probably right. But he continued, I found a bat in my attic and I trapped it. Granted, it was a dead bat. Bats, huh? I thought pitifully. Maybe Edward has rabies. I walked into the nurse's office. The nurse was an older woman who needed glasses, preferred to wear them around her neck, rather than full lanyard. She looked up from her novel Full Moon. Full Moon. See what you did there, parody novel. One sec, she said. I'm almost done with this chapter. Edward and I waited. Okay, she said. Come in here, lie down, and I'll give you some ice for your head. Edward let me down, and the nurse brought me into this adjoining room with two mat-like beds. Edward watched me leave me sadly, holding his hand down towards me. The nurse turned around, and he cleared his hands just as we were doing the robot. After the nurse laid me down, he stood there for a while. Another gimmick star of infomercial explaining what happened to his little rubber while he smoked weed. Okay. Your description? Don't you have somewhere to be? The nurse danced after a few minutes. Yes. Wait, she said suddenly. Are you Edward Mullen? I've been calling you down in the nurse's office every day now for a week. You need to get your shots for your trip to Transylvania. No, I don't need shots. You got me confused with someone else. You must think of another boy. He's much bigger and braver and has a normal name. Turner ran out of the nurse's office. The nurse was about to follow him, but then she sighed and returned to reading. I strained my neck to see Edward go around the corner, eventually getting up from bed to follow him all the way back to class. Transylvania, I thought as I walked past the classroom. Twilight clock, haven't you sound so familiar? I never thought maybe Edward is a foreign exchange student. I looked out the window of our classroom door. Edward took a seat next to my empty seat. That's when I realized it didn't matter what he was, 5'8" or 6'3", like he said in his medical forms. I left that crazy superhuman back at the nurse's office. I carefully placed Edward's medical file back at the special attention cabinet. What was he hiding besides multiple food allergies? What was he? I do some thinking. Sit down on the floor of the nurse's office and assumed a meditation pose. My hands posed upward on my cross legs. Remember? My mind was moving quickly. The bread stuck in Edward's mouth, and his being late to classroom pulled up. The bats Transylvania didn't make sense. I thought for a while longer. I took an Odwalla bar break and thought some more. Then suddenly, I remembered an accident, and Edward's snowproof bottle. As it changed from I don't remember to green, and I knew, yes, vampire. Let's see how long these chapters are. Oh my god. Not that long. Not that long. Yeah. Well, I'm trying to be through chapter 5, but okay. Chapter 4. Researchers. Wow. When I got home that afternoon, I told my dad that I had a crime to solve, so he'd leave me alone. I was glad I'd set up a detective agency last summer called the Bell Goose on the Loose. I made flyers of a drawing of me as Sherlock Holmes and put them up all around Phoenix. Too bad I only ever got one case, the caper of rampant flyer littering. The culprit is still at large. Slamming the door to my room, it seemed like I was on someone's trail. I dug for my unpacked stuff and found a seed of hyena laughter that my mom and new husband gave me on the day I left the two of them alone in Phoenix. At the time I couldn't help but think he was trying too hard to get my respect. Now I was glad to have a distraction from thoughts of Edward. Put the CD in my CD player, put on my headphones, and lay down on my bed, covering my head with pillows. Still, I thought about the vampire I loved, so I put a couple of suitcases on my head. Once the CD finished, I knew I couldn't stall any longer. It was 1 a.m., the time of night when I researched the paranormal. My internet works via tin can telephones. One tin can is in the back of our computer. The other tin can is back of our neighbor's, which has internet. It takes a while for the other computer to whisper the codes to our computer, so I ate some cereal. Count Chocula. Afterwards, I still didn't have internet access, so I rearranged the furniture to freak out my dad. No internet. I went to sleep. 2 nights later, I had internet access. I typed in a single word, vampire. People asked, did you mean vampire? Oh, I typed in a single word, a vampire. Okay, see what Google do. Ha ha, ha ha ha. I said yes. I felt overwhelmed and confused by the results. Nosferatu, the Buffy Summers workout, Kristen Stewart's onset romance, Midnight Sun leaked, Robert Pattinson, excellent blues singer. Huh. Weird. What did any of this have to do with vampires? I sat up at my desk, feeling silly for looking at pictures of a beautiful couple who were clearly not vampires. This search was fruitless. There were only 62,500,000 results. I was going to have to rely on my own knowledge. Then I thought, why don't I share that knowledge with the world? I sat back down on the computer and went to the vampire Wikipedia page. I added a sentence to the article. Edward Mullen of Switchblade Organ's a vampire, but don't kill him because I love him. Then I added a picture of Edward's abs. Great, I thought, starting off the computer. I figured this was basically the same as telling my dad I was in love with a vampire, especially since he monitored my internet activity. Suddenly, I remembered the song my dad used to sing to me every night when I was a little girl. If you ever have a crush on a vampire, I will trick him into getting into a car. Then I will drive the car into a lake. And on top of the car, I will put some stones. I stopped singing gleefully, realizing my dad would probably have a problem with Edward. I decided I would tell him that Edward is a vegetarian vampire, feasting solely on ketchup. That's pretty useful. Continuing. Oh, this is so fun. So good, Parody. So good. The next morning, I was on my way to first period. Someone grabbed me from behind, reminding me of the vice principal pulling me off the stage during the talent show in Phoenix. I still don't know why my act was cut short. My alter ego, Belle Go, is a terrific rapper and breakdancer. I turned longingly, but it wasn't vice principal, bitch. It was Edward. Oh, so you're talking to me now? I asked coyly. Yes, of course. Why was I not talking to you? I remembered last night when I called Edward repeatedly, repeating to be selling tube sharpeners. He had hung up every time. I decided not to mention it. Were you okay yesterday after I brought you to the nurse? Edward asked. Yes. Were you, I asked, assuming that vampires experience deep soul pain? I think so. Okay, great. See ya. I turned around quickly so Edward might see me from the back. I had sculpturettes in my hair just for him. I have a lot of Halloween-themed jewelry. It all began the summer a plague fell upon my fish tank. That same summer, I took up fish bone whittling. When I walked into English, I was still practicing my make-out moves on my hand. Nice of you to join us, Belle, Mr. Schwartz said. Yes, I said, realizing I could be anywhere right now, even a tomb with Edward. It is nice of me. I turned my desk to face the window so I wouldn't be the first to see if an asteroid were coming. Frankly, I found the current custom of all desks facing the front a very dangerous one. These are lookouts for the other three sides. The teacher? He's constantly yelling at me to put down my binoculars and stop shushing him whenever he starts to speak. I stared out the window at the beautiful, beautiful rain. A figure stood in the parking lot, his arms outstretched towards the sky. Edward, in one hand, held the bars of scope, which he brought to his face, beginning to vigorously scrub. Afterwards, he dropped the soap into a bucket and turned his head up to the cumulonimbus clouds, letting the water cleanse him as he sang an old show tune meant for no one else's ears. From his backpack, he pulled out his computer wrapped in a plastic bag. From the front pocket, he pulled out a case of a medium-sized satellite dish with data storm written across. He climbed up his car and pulled down a plastic face shield, drilling the satellite into the top. My heart stopped. Was going to chase the storm in this weather? As the soft drizzle of the morning petered out and the sun returned, he drove off into the distance. He was a risk taker, but he was my risk taker. Turning my binoculars away from the window to the poster of Forbes' top 10 oil cartoons, reading Jane Eyre, I could hear Angelica babbling. The whole point of sitting next to Angelica was that she was the quiet type of girl. The type that enjoys taking orders and agreeing with you when your voice reaches a certain volume. But today she was not quite yammering her head off about who cares. I heard the down, up, down inflection of her voice, which is my cue to gasp with shock. I heard a sympathy to teacher lesson. That's when I realized she was stifling a seizure. Sorry, she said as she went through the series of body hiccups. It's all right, I said forgivingly. Better Angelica than Lucy, who never apologizes for seizuring near me. Angelica was definitely better friend than they were. She wasn't quite best friend material. True best friend would feel comfortable having a seizure in front of me, pausing to laugh when I did my wry epileptic impersonation. Suddenly, Angelica's eyes rolled back. I see a room in chapter 10, she said in the raspy voice of the future. A room full of vampires. In the corner of the room is a metal folding chair folded up with a red seat. Three of its feet have black rubber stoppers to prevent scrapey noises the forefoot does not have. Does not. One could theoretically rock in it, but that is not advisable. Beware of the crown. She finished and clapped on the floor. Was that an omen? As far as I knew, only vampires and girls who read the major works of Jane Austen had unique abilities. In any case, I didn't know why I had to be wearing it, getting a crown, and possibly controlling an entire nation from a comfortable throne. I tend towards diplomacy, even in games such as Risk, decreeing a ceasefire for everyone by sweeping the board off the table. This is important, Angelica, I said, when she awoke from her stupor. Is Edward in the room of vampires? The whole class was surrounding soon. Give her some air. As if air was some wonderful gift I couldn't give myself. Sleepy, Angelica murmured. Rats. She had returned to her normal self. Is vampires code for Edwards? I asked. It was crack code for poison nuggets disguised as raisins when you pick out a cereal anyway, so don't worry about it. But Angelica wasn't paying attention. Mouth tired, she sighed, as the school nurse strapped her on the stretcher and carried her away. Why did I have to beware? Was Edward going to hurt me? Why hadn't he hurt me yet? Was I not worth the trouble of hurting? No, I was being insecure. It was worth a lot of hurting, elaborately planned to take place in an old ballerina room with easily shattered mirrors to complete the gloriously gory spectacle. If Edward didn't think I was worth that, I'm sure some other vampire would. Before going to lunch, I ran outside the parking lot to make sure Edward's van had returned. I had a long deflated bell of the size and ran around and around the 500 space lot. It wasn't there. I started going home. Education worth it without a marital prospect. Huh. Marital prospects. Education. Historically, completely good. Yes. Okay. This book is kind of crap. A little voice popped in my head. Little Lodi's voice humming Shoe Bear. My hallucination of Edward. I got the hallucination whenever I jeopardized my future as Nobel laureate in physics. Pardon me, sang the voice. I have a terrible habit of slipping the shoe bear in moments of urgency. One among many things, I picked up my musical travels through Italy bell, tuning it harmonically. I get your high school diploma for me. You figured out a hip indie song, Claire de Lune. That settled that. I wasn't sure what kind of a career as education would give me that I couldn't get used to my sock puppet routine and tenacity, but I had faith in my voices. Why just the other day when I was slipping, hadn't I had a vision I might fall? Resolved, I decided to put my life in the hands of my precarious brain figment and finish high school. The next day, an activities fair was going on in the cafeteria. Each table was turned to a booth with a neatly decorated poster board. Particularly admired the Teens for Fascism display. Those teens must be really devoted to the club of these zigzag scissors. Maybe I hadn't given fascists the consideration it deserved. Bill Evans looked over. Lucy was standing beneath Buffy the Vampire Slayer man's poster. Join my club. No, thank you, I said icily, but I was not thankful. I think I conveyed that from my tone. I had no intention of supporting a show that encouraged the genocide of an already endangered species of immortals. I decided to use frown power. That is where you socially deter people from being bigoted by frowning at their ignorant remarks. I got up real close, looked that poster straight in the eye, and frowned until I felt the power of my moral triumph rushing from my circulatory system. I grabbed that poster, turned it around, drew his skull and crossbones, and ripped it up. I would become a table booth pirate. Who would be the first to know my cunning? Ugh. This book. I saw a table for silent read. Beauty of price elasticity and free pizza. I resented the beauty of price elasticity, but I kind of like free pizza. Ricky should booth to pirate a slice, suddenly discerning the figure managing it. Edward was back. Belle, Edward asked in a hand reaching for a slice from my hiding spot beneath the table. Huh. Oh, Edward, I didn't recognize you. Thanks for the pizza. Listen, I'd love to jump and join your club sometime, but I gotta do things. Make some toast for Jim. He's an idiot. Stay. If you like pizza, you'll love the Pricey Elasticity Club. Club devoted to giving students the free pizza they've earned by clicking the ads on the website I made for my economics class. I'm suspicious, except for the mud on his face and his missing right pant leg. He had returned from his storm chase in pristine condition. Riddle me this, Mr. Internet Guy, I said, crossing my arms detectively. How is that you allegedly completely mortal are here without a car? My car had to be sacrificed for a greater cause. His face clouded with a haze of an ideal. A muddy ditch right outside of the campus. I had to hurl my car into the ditch where a looming cloud could get me. Nobody said being a venture meteorologist would have been for slowly accumulating money from 0.0001 cent web ads would be easy. Nobody says much about that type of person at all. What would I have to do to join this club of yours? I asked suspiciously. I had noticed that he had artfully allowed the adverse events price elasticity out of consumer demand and his propagandizing. You would consider joining the club? Wow, no one has ever shown interest in appreciating price elasticity. Before, for a while there, I thought it was me and price elasticity against the world. This is all happening so fast. I'm not sure what another person would do in my club. Let me think about it for a second. He started pacing behind his display. His body seemed to flash in excitement. Or is that me blinking really fast? I know. You have to spend every lunch break with me. Yes. Making a fortune. Ooh, if only I trailed back a few clauses. If only it said yes when the scientist asked if I wanted his extra time machine. At the end of the year, we used that fortune to try to communicate with deep-sea crustaceans. His eyes sparkled with zealous determination. I know the truth is down there. He was so perfectly ached. So I just sign here, I asked? Yes, right below the words, Edward, hereby possesses the soul of... Okay. Sign my name. B-E-L-L-E. Flip the paper over for more space and squish in the rest in tiny print. Use. There, I said, scrawling the last letter with a flourish that continued off the page from the loop-to-loop in the air as my signature entails, deal with the soul provision when the time came. Bell, someone shouted from the next booth. It was Laura. The girl who sat across from me every day at lunch, giving her the privilege of having a name. Giving her the privilege of having... That's funny. Angelica was signing the club sheet, and Lucy was sending fake sheets Laura gave her. So the wait would seem shorter. Lucy was based on a particularly impatient character. Join our shopping club. Our first meeting is today after school, my home said. Pick which one. They're pretty interchangeable. Now join our club, said Tom from the booth next to Lad. Boys Club. Kick the box. We consider you one of the boys because you were so laid back and chill. Wow. Couldn't believe it. One of the boys. I finally made it. Let's kick the box, I asked. Every Friday night, we take turns crouching in a box while every guy's kick it. Sure, I'll play. Making their days, I felt good about myself after that. Socializing is a simple way to give back to the community. Murped Edward. Bill turned towards him. He was wringing the hem of his shirt in his hands and shifting his eyes from one face to another. Common mannerism for the Victorian period. What is it, Ed Nerd? Asked Taylor. We finally turned on one of your little machines. Laura giggled, expecting Edward's comeback to be something hilarious. She wasn't disappointed. Belle can't join your club, he said super hilariously. Very nice women to click on each other's ads. It was a vital part of the Pricey Elasticity Club. Fine, said Adam. I guess Belle would rather click on advertisements and go to Las Vegas this Friday for a boys' club bachelor party. Edward made the threatening growl of his, and I can't resist him when he puts on his puppy face. I suppose I'll join the shopping club instead, I grumbled. Sheesh, what was this, the Judd Apatow movie? I treasured over the Laura sign-up sheet. I bet she didn't even know what Star Wars was, like that scene and knocked up. Best part about the girls' clubs, said Laura as I signed my name and muttered words at random from my internal anger rant, getting to know each other better. Each week I come up with a different question. Last week's question was which of Laura's headbands is the prettiest headband. This week's question is which humanoid in the Federation would be the most just political leader. Like, the most just. She tested her hair two-dimensionally. Probably a betazoid, I'd ask. Even the whole discussion was new because humans will always be too xenophobic to trust anything other than a human of executive power, and you can't forget about androids for any elected office by new media. Why did Laura ask such stupid questions? I stared hard at my shoes, suffering silently. Connecting with the small-town girls was going to be impossible. Hey, Edward, want some garlic chocolate? Asked Adam, waving a Hershey's bar in front of Edward. Ew, gross, get the garlic away from me, said Edward. Relax, it's just Hershey's. And Adam started away in the gait, not quite as manly as Edward's unpredictable limb flail. Well, I wasn't going to let this go by. Maybe if Edward saw how much I already knew, he would tell me the secret. Wait, I said, holding Edward's head and waiting until his breathing calmed down after I touched him. Only people who don't like garlic are. Maybe I like garlic, maybe I don't. All I know is I haven't tried it yet. I'm not going to start today. Same with avocados. He ran away before I could strap him to a board and interrogate him further. Okay, let's check how long chapter 5 is. Page 56 to... Holy crap, okay. Yeah, that was chapters 2 to 4. That was cool. Cool. This is a parody novel, so the general, it's a parody. Can't even take this seriously, but trying to, and kind of painful to read. But it's kind of dry, so gotta get something to drink. Yeah, don't read this. I literally just got this to be like, oh, it's a parody novel. Probably be a good service to people. So, what is in this book? What is in here? What is in this? It's just bad. It's just no. I mean, I know that like freaking Twilight and whatever the heck. Yeah, I have all 4 of these. I have all 4. Don't even. Yeah, I have them freaking all of them. And yeah, he's gonna suck once I get to these. Probably gonna be some long videos interspersed with not so long videos. Really depends on my mood. But yeah, going back to this, Belle's a pompous idiot. Edward's a nerd. That was unexpected. Pretty much everything they say is a non sequitur of weird. Oh yeah, thing about the magical powers of, I guess in this, Angelica being a seizure. Yeah, that was awkward. Think about chapter 10. Okay, chapter 10 is gonna be cool. I'm just gonna hold out for chapter 10 because I don't know, might get better. But chapter 1 was at least cringingly bad. Chapter 2, 3, and 4, they really just were school chapters, which school chapters are okay. I mean, come on, they're teens. I mean, if they don't have things at school like Saved by the Bell, or whatever, or Power Rangers even, that'd be weird. But yeah, I hate the camera on. Oh well. However, I have to hold this. Yeah, doing a service by reading this book because you guys aren't gonna buy it. I mean, it's what, 154 pages. Probably was written. I mean, it's written by Harvard Lampoon, so I mean, it has to be like other stuff. I mean, I've heard of some other stuff that they wrote, like parody of Dune. That sounds fun. A parody of Lord of the Rings. That sounds fun just because it's dumb. Parody of Twilight. Super fun. I mean, it is nice that this little thing says not a major motion picture. Has the little apple motif from what was that, Twilight? Yeah, good old Twilight having the apple motif. Comparatively, they fit about. Okay, Actually, that's a blah blah blah. The irresistible sequel. About 500 pages of stuff in this, because I've heard that these books get really fun, really fun with the just talking and the nothing happening. Um, the movies can really show that. The movies themselves can show that nothing happened. I think there's the second or the third movie I think it was the second movie that had hit that whole nice shot of Belle just sitting in her room. That was nice. Heard that was actually a really big part of the book of her just moping. Yeah, Twilight's gonna be great. I'm gonna probably go nuts about reading it. Oh, it's gonna be fantastic. Oh, okay. Well, gonna try to get some water, rest my throat a bit. Just wanted to get, I don't know, 3 chapters done. Doing 1 chapter a video. It's nice, but trying to do this over break. I only have so much time because, well, trying to fit in reading a chapter and making a video. Actually, really simple, but actually, 46.5 minutes minus about 3 minutes to talk. Yeah, okay. Read like 3 chapters in 40 minutes. Those were shorter chapters. Thinking some of the later chapters of this book, there's chapter 5's a 20 pager, like 16, 20 pages. I think I looked ahead a tiny bit, just like skimmed it. Looked on the table of contents, like chapter 10, chapter 9 or 10. There's some long ones. Some are really short, like might fit 5 and 6 together because they're all together like maybe 5, 6, 7. Because 5 goes from it's about 16 pages. 6 is all of 15, so that's 30 pages, and 7 is about 100. So altogether, that would be 44 pages. That's about what I read today. So I'm thereabouts. Started in like page 28 and read to page 56 or 55, 56. Okay, that's not, even by my math standards being because not studying math in college. It's not 44 pages, but not a lot of stuff happens in these. I mean, I'm starting to get into like actually reading these because reading stuff out loud, not a thing I do. So, yeah, about an hour in, read 4 chapters. Pretty good haul. Going by the length of some of my videos. I really hate this book. Like I've already read it before in a way. Like I skimmed it, and I was like, oh yeah, this is great. Even I read it like a month or 2 ago, so I don't remember most of it, at like all, because me just reading it like an hour or 2, and then just laughing at every stupid moment. Now that I'm actually slowing down and reading it, kind of sucks. Like, my hatred for Atlas Shrugged, that's understandable because that was a very anticlimactic ending of a book that was pretty good for the, I'll admit, pretty good for the first 2 or 3. Okay, part of 3, I think, was okay. not much. It was really long. So it's like 100 pages. Could be a part of something. Because good old Atlas Shrugged is like 1,000 pages. It's like 90 pages for one speech. It's pretty much a slog. Might read that one day. Like, actually just comment in every terrible point. It's just like, and this is a thing. But yeah, this was not fun to read. Yeah, this is not fun. I'm planning on probably reading this maybe later today. It's 6:40, so right now, as I'm recording, so I'm PM, not AM. That would be terrible. But just got done with family stuff. Felt like I could calm down by reading, so yeah. Might read 5, 6, and 7, and then maybe tomorrow. 8's kind of short. Okay. Short being like 13 pages. Oh, wow, okay. 9 is like 8 pages. Yeah, okay. 10's weird. Okay, it's 10 is like 20 pages, but I just looked, and 5 of those pages have one word each on them. Isn't that great? Isn't that great when it's just like, oh, it's a 154-page book, but if you condensed the 5 pages into one sentence, it'd be 4, 5 pages shorter. So, yeah, it's gonna get fun. 11's like 10. So the chapters themselves are really short. Seems a lot longer than it actually is. Because it sucks. When you make a parody of Twilight, kind of sucks. I mean, personally, I love parody movies, but Vampire Suck was a bad parody movie. Okay, it did stuff pretty good compared to some other parody movies, but the family moving around upstairs, so if you hear weird noises, that's because it's 6:40 and yeah, being in the basement can actually make some noise. But back on track, Vampire Suck was bad. This being a parody novel, I enjoy parody novels, but no, this has like no substance. It's like written bad on purpose to like show how bad the original was to somebody who then wrote an even worse novel to be like, yes, if you actually got to this point, congrats, going to probably make a video once I'm actually done with this book and then just ramble about it there, make it a little easier overall, because this is painful. This is really freaking painful. I don't like it. I don't know. It got sold. I pretty much picked it up for about 50 cents at Goodwill. About worth that. It sucks. It's pretty much how not to write a parody. I even like how it's like Nightlight, and then really, 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 really small. Sorry, glare. Says a parody. Nightlight, a parody. Not a major motion picture. Apple. I don't know. I don't know who actually wrote it because it just says the Harvard Lampoon. I like National Lampoon stuff, which kind of got us off from Harvard Lampoon, I think. But no, this is pretty trash. Reading it, I can personally see that I enjoyed parts of it, but half of the book was just rambling nonsense and just not fun. Like, okay, classic books can be terrible. Like, they can be bad. But they're at least written well. This is just bad on purpose. Like, I enjoy reading, writing, talking about parodies. But reading this once, it was pretty enjoyable. Reading it twice, the second time, and out loud. It's just there's so much weird and awful things in here. So much awfulness. Like I don't even. It's just bad. No, just. Okay, this is just gonna be a fun series of me probably going crazy. Thanks to this one book. Yeah. Well, probably gonna get something to drink. Read some more probably later, or even later tonight. Depends on how my voice is. Kind of feeling it. Yeah. Bye.